Hey folks, this is Doc Fire from Custom Caulkers, and I'm over here to kind of talk about the Inception high flow valve, and I don't have it in the case right here, but a lot of people have been talking about some issues with it um, getting kind of sideways and not functioning correctly. It kind of gets sideways or jammed up in the body, and they're having some issues with it leaking and stuff like that. So I'm going to go over some possible solutions. And here we have, if I can zoom in here, here we have a cutaway of it. And this is of a Empire Sniper body, or it's either a Sniper, whatever, it's one of the bodies. And you can see there's the Inception high flow valve in there. And it's set in there. And yes, I did machine open a body so you guys can see what it looks like inside. So I'm doing this for you guys. Get everything to focus here. There we go. And one of the things that when looking at it this way, where you can't see it when it's in a normal body, you can't see in here. So if we go in here, and I'm going to try to get it. If you notice the valve itself, so the body is the big silver round piece, and the valve is actually the pin with the spring on it. And the sealing surface of that valve, that plastic, whatever that material is, nylon, whatever it is, molded nylon. If you notice, the tips of those stars is actually the right diameter, so it actually those kind of ride on the inside diameter. So if I can get an angle on this thing to see there, and then if I can get it to focus here, there we go. See, and so they actually ride on the inside there. So that may play something with the valve and how it fits in here, or if it's leaking. I don't know yet. But one of the things I do want to show is, let me get this down here. I'm going to take some stuff apart and take the valve out. Take the set screw out. And if you notice, I didn't have any O-rings on the valve, and I didn't have any O-rings on there for a reason, because I wanted to show you guys. Take that off to the side. So let's zero that guy out. Zeroed. Okay, he's all zeroed out. So let's take a factory valve and let's look at what the width is. Okay, so we're looking at a 0.688 with the factory valve, and let's look at the new Inception valve, and it's exactly the same diameter. So that's good to know, guys. It's not like that this is machined wrong in that aspect of it. So now the next thing, let's check the O-ring groove. Let's make sure the O-ring grooves are the same. And this one is a 0.564. And see what this guy is. 0.566, 65. Okay, let me recheck this guy. Okay, so the inside diameter on the factory one is a little bit smaller diameter. So this one's a little larger diameter. So now the real trick is, these are the factory O-rings that come with the Inception valve. Okay, so now I'm gonna just lightly put this in here, and I'm about a 0.066. See if I can do this again. I just want to make it to where, let's just say it's about a, I just gotta feel this here. That's a little tight. Still a little tight. I think it's a 0.68, right around there. And so now this is an O-ring that I got from the O-ring store. It's the right diameter. And so it's bigger. And so a lot of people, what they're saying is this valve is getting inside that body, and when they put that set screw in, and they're trying not to push down on this, because I think they think what's happening is it's pushing it off center line, and it's either creating a leak somewhere. Where, I don't know. We'll find out. I'm going to put it in this body and see where it's going to leak. But one of the things I've noticed is that the O-rings that came with it, comparative to a upgraded O-ring, let's hold these in my hand here. So here's this one, and then this one, really soft. This is a really soft material, and I don't know what type of material it is. It feels like the durameter is a little bit softer. So my recommendation is O-rings are cheap. Save yourself some headache. Put in a nice quality O-ring. I just think these O-rings that come with it, I think they're just a little too soft durameter, and sometimes that eases the installation, but for the most part, I don't think it's worthwhile. So with that, we're going to put a couple new O-rings, and I think these are 15s, which they are. And I've got a couple 15s here because I'm going to say that I'm going to measure this other 15 just to see. Well, that's a 6'8", 6'9" for that. So a couple of 15s. Let me see. What did I? It's interesting. The O-ring that I had on the other one, I think I went to a higher durameter. I think I used what's called a tank O-ring. But I'm going to try the softer ones. Like I said, I don't know if it's the O-rings that are shipped with it. I don't know. Actually, how about I do this? How about I just put the factory O-rings back on, because we're going to install this as it is factory. We're not going to mess around. The other thing is, let me put this up here. This little O-ring here, it's a metric O-ring. It's about a 1.5 millimeter thickness, and I don't know the diameter. It's maybe like a 4 millimeter. But I like to put a little bit of a lube in here. See if I can. And I like to lube that up, and I use it's a product that's very similar to the Tech D stuff that's out there. So and I put a little bit of just lube on that front, and then I like to put a little bit of lube just on the end of the spring here, just enough to, it's probably way too much, just enough to lube it there, and a little bit on these O-rings here, nice and lubed up. And then the goal is to drop this in the body and not make too big of a mess. All right, we're going to shove it on through. All right, I'm back, and I'm going to bring this up in here and try to get everything to focus on it. I put my hand underneath there. There it goes. And see how far it is. And it's interesting. Put this set screw in here. When you put the factory spring in, the spring is compressed more. And in this one, my Allen puts it on. In this one, it's not as compressed, and I think it's because on the high flow spring, it uses this same spring, but on the valve face itself, it's not as tall as this. It's much more narrow, so it drops the spring down probably about to right where that little molding line is. I think it probably drops it down about that far. And what that does is it doesn't put as much pressure on that spring. That spring is almost just, I mean, if you see that on the valve, you can see that I don't have to do anything to push it in. It just rests right in the right spot. It's held in there with friction. I don't have to push the end of it in because there's no spring pressure on it, if that makes any sense. So this is going in here a little tight, but the only reason it's tight is because it has that Vibratite on it. And I'm not cranking down on this. I'm just lightly. Now I know I just touched the face. And I'm just gonna. If I just touched it, you see how far that goes in. So that's just under flush, and that's not cranking down. That's not putting pressure on that valve body. It's just basically kissing that face. All right. And so I think I can check. Sure everything up. I feel the spring. Everything seems to be sealing fine. So that's all in there. Now, one thing I valve in, let's drop the mainspring in. So I'm using a factory mainspring. And this is one of the Inception Designs flea bodies for the Resurrection. Oop, usually help to put the hammer in, right? I think I knew what I was doing, but sometimes I don't, I guess. And this is my 1/8 inch right here. Just kind of gauge where this needs to be. That looks good. That's close enough for government work for right now. We'll tune that a little bit later. And I'm going to see if I can zoom in here. Makes it a little easier. Yeah. It's interesting. I'm trying out this new recording. And it's getting everything to focus. I think I need some better lighting, folks. There we go. Maybe if I did it where the light comes over here. Yeah, so I'm just going into where I'm showing about 1/8 of an inch on the inside there. It gives me a little bit of adjustability either side. And with that, let's put the bolt back in. All right, everything's on there. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to put everything back together. The rest of the stuff, you guys don't need to see that. And then we're going to gas it up and see how it works. Put back together here. And I've already had it gassed up. And there's no leaks, by the way. I haven't got to test fire it over a chrono or anything like that. But right now, we'll show you what the pressure is. So, you know, I'm 220, 210, whatever. So we're right around there. Let's go and, no, I don't want to make a liar of myself. If I put this all back in, there's leaks, but it wasn't leaking a second ago, so let's see how everything works. All right. Everything on there. Oh, see, I made a liar of myself. Okay. Well, those leaks were in the pneumatics, so. See my timing, it's actually fairly conservative. Let's bring this around here. Yeah, fairly conservative time, which I like conservative timings on these guys because they get a lot of blowback in here if you don't. Let me zoom out so you guys can see this. All right, so everything seems to be shooting fine. All right, I'm back now, and I got the frame off of here. I'm going to try to get everything up in here. I get everything to focus in here. It really doesn't need to focus. I just need to be able to show that I can crank down on the screw. If I get the right Allen for it. There it is. Let's be really quiet. Okay, I just cranked down on it and there's no leaking, folks. I don't want to mash it in there, so so there's no leak in there at all. So I'm not worried about that at all. So there's no leak in it at all. Let's take everything apart here again. So a lot of people said they've been having problems with their frame or their valve leaking. I haven't had any. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't leak in some guns. Resurrections are machined in China, and it doesn't mean that China stuff's bad. I'm just saying that it could be some poor machining on some of them. This is one of the early flea bodies, so I've heard issues that, or things that the older Resurrection bodies were a little higher quality milled, and some of the older parts were. And through time, the machining just got weaker and weaker as the product, I think, wasn't being purchased as much, and they were trying to save on time, or their quality control went down. I don't know, one of the things. So of course I had the longest Allen here, and I can't spin this thing that quickly. But we're gonna gas this thing back up and see how it works, and see if I'm still a liar. I don't think I'm a liar though. Okay, everything's there. Let's cock it. And yes, I did cock it before I gassed it up, and some people go, well, you know, that's not going to work. Well, being that the spring pressure at rest on this guy isn't as I gotta, there you go. That spring pressure in here at rest doesn't have as much pressure on that valve pushing against the body. That sometimes you will get some leaking out of there, but oh, I think I'm out of air. Yeah, I'm out of air. That would do it every time. So right now, like I said, I don't know what it's shooting at. The reg's about 220, which is about standard for the Resurrection with its factory valve. And here's the factory valve. We'll see. I'll go do some test shots over the chrono, and hopefully I'll be able to edit all this stuff together into one seamless down and dirty video, and go from there. But here's something that's kind of neat for you guys. I've had this body for a long time. See if I can get it to focus. Pump it up. I didn't put that on there. Someone milled this. It's milled out of a 2K spec. I think it was machined to 2K. Nice body. Whoever did the milling on it, it has these really kind of interesting mill lines in it. I think they did that on purpose. I haven't sanded it off. I don't want to sand them off. I think it looks really good. And I could run it how it is because it's still anode on the inside, which I think I may. I just kind of think it's cool. I got to fix the feed neck. It's got an ugly spot on it, so I got to get a new feed neck machined for it. And who remembers these back blocks? Oh yeah, whoever has the, flip this around. Okay, oh yeah, the spine bodies. Remember the spine bodies the guy was making? They were beautiful. I got a back block off a spine body, and he's an extra one that he milled, and I bought it from him because it actually fit this body pretty nice. It's almost a perfect match. And it kind of looks good. So one of these days that project will be done, but that's it. That's all I have for this video, and we'll, like I said, I'll add on to it, and we'll see what everything looks like when I get it all back together. All right, thanks. All right, so this should be the final clip in this review of the high flow valve. It's going to be put it in here, and we're going to go out to shoot it. Pan I'm using is some actually pretty high quality Nelson Anarchy. I really like Nelson Anarchy. It's nice stuff. It actually is still a little bit larger diameter stuff. And then I'm going to be using the factory barrel that comes with the Resurrection kit, just because it it has a control bore that's I think that's like close to an 8-inch control bore, wait till our wives. Yeah, this is 6 inches. Yeah, right. So and I'll match the paint. So it's fairly consistent with a lot of the barrels that are out there that are going to the 8-inch control bore setups, or around that range. So the setup is pretty much a factory gun, minus that it's to fleet body Inception, and as the thing focuses, all these, it's going to focus there. It's going to do it. There we go. And it's a stock bolt, although I do have the Inception bolt. It was a prototype bolt, so I'm not going to use that. So just do what you guys have. So everything else is stock. The rag right now is set around 200 psi, and if I can get this in the light, I was trying to think if I got this in. You know, it's just about an 1/8 inch in. You can see there on the bottom. So everything else is stock. And when I get all done, I'm going to slip it over to the Retro Hornet body, and we're going to see how it works in that. My guess is it's going to work better in this body. I think full bodies just, in my opinion, work a little bit better. Well, I don't say they work a little better. They're just a little easier to tune, and it comes down to it. The other thing is you know, with these Inception, or not these Inception, the Resurrections, this hump trigger, which I like. It makes a very fast trigger. Things I don't like about it is I think you have to create the timing so conservative to reduce the amount of blowback that goes up through here, and I think it's due to how fast this trigger snaps back. And I think that and the quality of the three-way, and the that O-rings only has to pass it's a thin O-ring, so it's quickly past the holes. And I think, you know, that all that together, everything starts moving back before it's done sending air down the barrel and finishing that cycle. So we'll see. It'd be interesting with this new valve and having that new valve shut off, in theory, shut off a little quicker. And it may reduce some of that blowback, but I don't think it will. But anyway, with that, I'm going to shut everything down, and I'm going to reset up outside. All right, everyone, it's Dogfire, and we're back for hopefully the final cut of this. And as you see, got everything set up. I'm going to try to tilt everything up here to hopefully be able to focus in on that. And if you look at it, I got everything set up, and I wanted to fire a couple shots to see, you know, how far this thing is off. And that's my last shot of string at like 4 or 5. And so I'm going to show you again. I'm going to put the camera up. So on the back here, remember before I said it was about 1/8 of an inch. I can get it to focus on everything. If I can, I'm trying to do everything with. So I still have about 1/8 of an inch. You can kind of see that there. I haven't moved it. So let's set everything back up. Make sure everything's going to focus. You guys can see all that. $275, $284, $281, $282, $289, $287, $284. If I can get everything up here. One hand this. Get some sound signature. So, sorry for the wild camera. Let's go back here, and 282, 288, 281. I'm not going to complain. From a complete teardown, guys. Complete teardown. The regulator, you guys saw that in the other video. I haven't adjusted it at all. Factory Resurrection springs. Factory bolt. I do have a good paint to barrel match, the 680 barrel, and it's not completely blow through, but it's you know, it's not roll through at all. It's actually a when it catches on the side, I got to push it through, and so it's a forceful blow through. So it's a squeeze, I think, in there. So it's a little tight board. on it. Yeah, so the reg was set right about 220, 210, 220. We'll just say 220 for old giggles, and that back IVG is set in about an eighth of an inch, so about the thickness of your 1/8 inch Allen. And I didn't adjust it, I just fired over the chrono. Factory barrel, shot great. I'm not going to say it shot lasers because I think that's always funny. My paintball gun shoots lasers. But anyway, down a dirty video, guys. This thing straight works. So you guys saw me other clips, no leaks. Now when I do gas it up, it sometimes leaks, but I have other valves that do that. But I'm impressed. Let's do a. I'm gonna turn everything off. I'm gonna set it up. I'm gonna see how it works. So I've got. We gotta see here if I can get everything set up. Okay. So I don't know. Let's see what blowback looks like. I'm gonna get off the deck here. Okay, you guys saw that? So you see how it's timed. I'm getting no blowback. If there's blowback, those balls would have bobbled up out of there. And so, anyway, I'm impressed. I have to say that that old valve there worked pretty darn good. Put everything on here. Let's put it on backwards so it really looks goofy. But I think that old valve there worked pretty good. And there's a little shout out to CustomClockers.com. You guys all know that I'm a mod over there, and it's a good bunch of folks on there. I actually like it better on Facebook, but Facebook seems to be all the rage, I guess. Anyway, that's it.